Welcome to the Emergent Human, where we explore optimizing health, embodied spirituality, and post-conventional living. I'm Michael Ostrolenk, therapist, coach, and educator, and I'm your host. One of the three pillars of the Emergent Human podcast is optimizing health. Part of my own process in doing so is being a member of an organization known as Life Force. I joined Life Force after reading the book Life Force by Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis in order to get the support I needed to take my health to the next level. I'm happy to announce that Life Force is now a show sponsor. Life Force membership provides you with at-home diagnostics, access to functional medicine doctors, health coaches, advanced nutraceuticals, hormones, and peptides. Life Force creates a customized plan tailored to your goals and blood work results to help you optimize your health. Their diagnostic is one of the most affordable, convenient, and comprehensive blood tests out there. If you've been looking for a more personalized approach to improve your health in the new year, check out Life Force at www.lifeforce.com and use code EmergentHuman15 for 15% off your first purchase. I want to welcome Prime Hall. Prime grew up in Texas, where he attended the Marine Military Academy. A few years later, he would enter the Marine Infantry before advancing as a MARSOC Marine Raider, with his specialty as a Marine Corps water survival instructor. He uses tools and techniques which he brings from his background, as well as what he has learned from training thousands of individuals and teams to create breakthroughs. His Free Your Mind Guidebook is the result of these findings, in which a framework was created to coach world-class athletes, business executives, and military special operations candidates looking to perform at high levels. He is also the co-founder of the Underwater Torpedo League, Deep End Fitness. He currently resides in Carlsbad, California, and he'll also be talking about a new book coming out in the near future. Good to see you, Prime.
Great to see you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's been a while as we talked offline. It's great to reconnect. Hopefully looking forward to seeing you here in a couple months. That'd be so cool.
Yep.
Before we talk about Deep End Fitness and underwater work that you do and this book and your new book, I'd love to hear you talk about some of the formative experiences from your life, which led you to become the man you are today and doing the work that you now do to help thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah, awesome. So the first thing that comes to mind is my grandparents. My grandparents have been a huge foundation for me and my whole life, and really, kind of like my parents. So my grandparents are the foundation of kind of family for me in my life, and so that's the number one thing. But I grew up in South Texas, in a place called South Padre Island, and then also spent some time in Corpus Christi, North Padre Island, throughout my early years. And so grew up in the ocean and grew up in neighborhood pools and stuff in the summers, and always loved swimming. My grandmother was a synchronized swimmer, and so
cool.
She would always take me to the pool. And so since I was like 2 years old, I would be in these little swimsuit competitions at the pool and stuff my grandmother would put me in. So I don't know, I think it's just always been something that I've been, that's been like kind of, and then going through my life, I kind of just went to the water for relaxation. And at certain points where I was in the military or whatever, and I didn't have any real time or days off, just being able to go to the pool and be at the pool for an hour would feel like a mini vacation. And so I just always loved the water. But I kind of some of the things that shaped me into who I am, I feel like, is I grew up in a situation where I had a peeping Tom for about 4 years of my in between ages 7 and 11 and 12 in there. So I had that experience that really shaped me, because I reported it over and over again, but the guy never got caught until like year 4 or 5. So it was like something that I had just had to kind of deal with and myself, because nobody was believing it at first. So that situation made me, I can draw from my resiliency and things that got me through certain things in life from that experience alone. Was probably, the thing that shaped me. And then from there, the other thing was, my parents divorced when I was like 12 or 13 years old. And my mom moved away. My dad moved in with his girlfriend, and I ended up living in a condo for a while by myself, and then ended up living in an apartment by myself for the most part for a couple of years, from whenever I was like 13 to 15, almost 16
Wow.
years old.
Wow.
And so my grandparents had came down during one of the summers because they always took us on summer vacations, and they found that they saw my living situation, that I was in there living by myself, in whatever situation. So they, were very blown. They didn't like that at all. They went and we were on vacation in San Antonio, Texas, and I saw these kids from Texas Military Institute that were walking by that had the uniforms on and stuff. And I was like, man, I wish I could do something like that. And there was a Marine military boarding school where my grandparents lived in Harlingen. And so they went home after that trip and got me a tour to military school. So then I got a tour, and basically most people at that military school are involuntarily sent there. It's like people that get in trouble, and it really makes an interesting group because it's a bunch of troublemakers that get sent there from all over the U.S. and then some from different countries that all end up boarding together and living there, in a situation that you're living in the barracks with all these kids, and it's from 8th grade to postgraduate.
Mm.
So you'll even have like some cartel kids that are like 22 years old that are seniors, with you, and everything in between. And so it's a real environment. You're there, and it's even different from the Marine Corps or the military, because it's an environment where there's no at the end of the day, it's better for you to lose and get in trouble than it is for you to lose respect of everybody and let someone, punch you or do something without
Mm.
you dealing with it. So like it's kind of like prison rules and county jail type thing when you're at military school, because if someone approaches you to establish dominance or fight you in front of everyone, you have to step up, or else everybody's going to start picking on you, and that's where your life's going to be that. So it was a situation where there was a lot of fighting, there's a lot of thing, but it was a lot of like, I loved it because there's a lot of, I didn't have any rules before I went there, and now I have all rules, and I had security, and I had my drill instructor that was my mentor, and I had, these different things that really worked for me, and I made a lot of good friends that are still some of my lifelong friends today. And so that being said, it was all Marine based. So all the Marine drill instructors were combat veterans, and a lot of them were, they all had drill instructor time. So they were drill instructors that had been to Vietnam, and so they were hardcore. And by the end of that experience, I knew how to do like a lot of the basics required of you to do the everyday Marine stuff, like marching and this and that and all the little uniform stuff and whatever. So but the biggest thing was that I had seen these videos over and over again when I was in these leadership classes when I was at military school, and they would just play these videos of like force recon guys, like face painted, and they're like in the jungle or like whatever it is, or they're doing obstacle courses. And so that planted a seed for me to where I always that's kind of, I got indoctrinated from watching those videos, I feel like. And then my 9/11 happened my senior year of high school, and then after high school I went to college and just couldn't get into it, and ended up going back home and going into the Marine Corps. So
And you're Marine
those
Infantry, and eventually MARSOC was created with the mid 2000s. I'm trying to remember the timeline.
yeah, it was stood up in 2007 with the test pilot, with the pilot program, and detachment 1, and then 2008 was when it really stood up, and then 2009 was when I came in, so it's still pretty new, like a startup, but the plank holders had kind of set the stage, and now we're all starting a new unit. But kind of just what, like, from your question of what formed me kind of thing, it's like I look back on it now and I just had no rules and I had no security and I had these weird survival situations at a young age, and then it made me really question everybody and question, what's the meaning of life, and what's like people think, looking at people as like, are people good or are they bad, and why am I doing all this stuff? And then going through military school, having that experience, and then going into the Marine Corps. But once I got into the Marine Corps, I was still like, growing up with little to no authority, most of it, it's hard to transition. And then now you just have to listen to someone because they yell at you,
Mhm.
And so I think that I had a real hard time adjusting to the Marine Corps. And so, but I'm also a high performer. So I feel like I need to go, 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 go. But then if I'm not if I don't have a purpose, then it's going to be that energy and everything, it can go towards, destructive things like partying and creating, uh, creating situations around, someone that said something to me whenever we were in our Marine job during the day, and if someone from a higher rank that said something, but then now, we're in a different environment, we've had a couple drinks, and basically reenact, or uh finding basically justice for myself,
Mhm.
from my perspective on, oh well, this
Mhm.
guy thinks he can talk to you like that. Well, what about now when it's after hours and nobody else is around? Let's see how he's gonna show up in that scenario. You know, with me telling him like my rank, nothing. I don't have rank on. I'm just like you. We're just two people here, but like, what's up? You know, um, and and so I got in a lot of trouble. I didn't have any rank on my collar for at least 3 years. And then it just like, then I got meritoriously promoted really fast. So I actually caught up to all my peers, after being on restriction for a couple years and being a private that whole time and getting in trouble again and again. I finally stopped drinking, and I went 10 years with no alcohol when I was in the
Wow.
in the Marines. And that's what really helped form my discipline. Um, but right now I'm at 3 years and like 4 months or something since I stopped this last time. But getting
Congratulations.
out, I had 10 years. So anyway, going through that, and when I went stopped drinking, I really isolated myself and just like focused on, myself, and started getting into some pretty advanced training that I hadn't done before, where I was, getting a lot of miles, getting weighted miles, getting all kinds of work in that was more endurance than what I had been doing up to that point. Then um, I had a mental focus trainer that I used to work out. I'm down here in San Diego in La Jolla, so if you see, I'm looking at the ocean right now.
Oh, nice. Okay, beautiful. Yep.
Yeah, but I used to have a trainer that lived around the corner here that did mental focus training with me back when I was like, think like 23, 24, 25. And so I was sober for years. I was doing this advanced training, and then I got this coach, and I would do this mental focus training that uh, really gave me the tool belt to do advanced training. So, kind of quick summary of the mental focus training was like, all the workouts I did in the Marines that day. Then I would drive to La Jolla, and I would work out from like 4 to 6 hours with this guy doing, running. And I never knew what order it was going to be in or what the workload was going to be, but running, following his car, as long as he's, plays that game. And then once it's over, cool down, get in the car, go to the gym, and then it's like very high reps, low weight, very low weight, high reps, burnout in the gym, and then to the ocean or the pool, and then back to the house. And back to the house, we're doing mental focus, holding the stick out. So you're holding a 7-pound stick out, and learning about yourself through that. And that was the biggest learning, is holding that stick out. So got into that. So then I started becoming really into mental focus from that, and then got into the pool work, became a water survival instructor, and then got into Marine Raider thing. I was supposed to be going into recon, and my commander was like, hey, this new thing just started, so I got a buddy that I went to college with, or whatever it was, that's over there that made it in at the beginning. So I'm going to get with him, and if you're okay with it, I'm going to get you a package to that, because I think it's going to be a bigger opportunity for you. So I got into that. And
For folks who are not familiar with the special operations world within the various branches, you just talk a little bit about MARSOC and what it does, what you're able to talk about, what it does, what you did,
yeah,
what you're capable of talking about, what you did.
yeah. So MARSOC and Marine Special Operations basically is the only unit in the Marine Corps that falls underneath US SOCOM, or United States Special Operations Command, which gives them different authorities to do different types of training and different types of mission sets on deployment, and also gives them funding to do different things. So that's how it's separate from any other unit, because there's recon, force recon, snipers, all these infantry. There's all these amazing assets and warfighters and pilots and everything in the Marine Corps, but the difference is that under SOCOM you have different authorities and different funding that you fall under and that you can operate in, which makes it a full spectrum kind of theater, with when adding intelligence, interagency, collaboration, and you name it, any asset that you can imagine, that you can connect with. You can incorporate it into your plan if you have access to it. So but also, just because everybody knows what a Navy SEAL is, so I just keep it simple and I say I'm a poor man's Navy SEAL. That usually gets a couple laughs, but yeah, it's a relatively new thing. So I'm grateful for looking back for the experience of just being in it when it was, in its beginning, because it's like a startup. There's a lot of flexibility to take responsibility and get different jobs and advance quicker than it is if it's a system that's been there for 50 years. So it was a lot at times, but it was awesome, and it was like just amazing kind of experience looking back on it from the professional side of just learning how to navigate something and how to build something that's relatively new.
What was life like after the Marine Corps? And of course, they always say once a Marine, always a Marine. But once you left the Marine Corps officially, what were you doing that led you to what you do today?
Yeah, so I got out. I was in an insider attack in Afghanistan in 2012, and I got blown up in that. And then I had some other explosions and things that happened. But long story short, I had some injuries that were, preventing me from passing my dive physical, because I had some traumas in my ear and my head, and just lower back blown out, feet problems, all these types of things. So basically, I got once they found that I had the ear and the head trauma stuff on the MRIs, then they started to retire me. So I got out after 12 and a half years or something, but at that point I thought I was going to be doing at least let's see, I was I was re-enlisting at that time, so I was thinking I was going to be at least 16 years. Like I was going for 16 at that point. So, but anyway, you get institutionalized being in that long. So I was in, and I was very worried when they told me that I was getting out, and there was nothing that I could do about it because I'm not able to be there anymore to pass my physicals. So they're medically separating me. And so then I had to I was like, I'm freaking out. I have to figure out what I'm going to do. So what I did was I started creating a PACE plan, which is just primary, alternate, contingency, emergency, and then updating that plan and putting better options in. So, for military, one option is always you go to school for 4 years and use your GI Bill, so we can put that as the emergency. And then, contingency is I'll take this job at this consulting firm or at this contracting firm that I've already been offered a job to. That's a contingency. The alternate is I'm going to go to business school here and figure out what I'm going to do for 2 years and develop it. And then the primary is I'm going to take this job because I had one job offer to do security plans for these extremely wealthy people. And I was like, and that's an easy thing. So, but it's like, so I was kicking around these ideas and these things, and I started to get some different offers from people to basically work on their ideas and stuff like that, and more and more and more. And then finally, I just broke away from everything, and I realized like I gotta do my thing. I want to be an entrepreneur. I'm just not going to work for me to be in this box and work at Dell computers and work in a cubicle anymore or anything like that. That would be almost dangerous for me at this point to take on something like that. But so, and I've always just excelled more whenever I was in a kind of hands or a outside the box kind of environment. So went to some courses. There was one I went to specifically at Dartmouth Business School for 3 weeks. That was a transition course for military and Olympians. And that was where I started like putting all the dots together and like, okay, where do my passions and my interests and my experience intersect? And then how can I use that information to drive what it is that I want to do? And, I had my partner, Don Tran, that was just miraculously getting out at the same time as I was. And we both went in together, and we both were, we were side by side throughout our Hell Week and all that training and all that stuff. And, worked at the pool together before that for a year and trained together to go to that. So we both got out at the same time, and we both started putting our heads together as to, what's next for us and what could we potentially partner on. So where that research and conversation started to go towards is like, how can we make the most impact training other people and create something that's missing even from when we went through our training, and create something as simple as possible that could be used for, special operations guys or athletes or whatever it is, and work through a stressful environment and perform. So we started both of these companies 5 years ago, but we wrote down the methodology up on my whiteboard that I had in my old condo in the garage, and it was F.R.E.E. was what we had been sculpting this thing and working it out. But F.R.E.E. was the turnkey system that we came up with at that point that we thought would be the simplest, most impactful thing that we could utilize as the methodology for training. But so, and then that's what it is. So F.R.E.E. is what the F.R.E.E. operating system, and F.R.E.E. is the foundation for Deep End Fitness and for Underwater Torpedo League for people to train and unlock results. And so F.R.E.E. is focus, relaxation, economy of motion, efficient breathing. So focus, mental focus. You can imagine going underwater, you're going to want to close out all those other tabs, or being in any stressful situation or anything, period. Surfing, and a wave crashes on you, and then you got another wave coming. You want to close out any extra tabs and just be focused on what you got in front of you. And that's the same thing when we go underwater. That's the same thing for, a pitcher that's on the mound that's throwing for the Padres. That's the same thing, and they throw a pitch that gets home run on them, grand slam, and now they have to have the adaptive capacity to shift, let that go, and just focus on what's in front of them to throw a strike, focusing on one thing at a time. um, and um, and then relaxation is, it's like, we compare it to low power mode on your phone. Like on demand relaxation is like completely relaxed. There's no extra movement, there's no extra stress, there's no extra tension, there's no extra nothing. And that's how we show up when we go underwater, because we don't want to be burning extra energy for no return. We want to be completely relaxed so that we could have the most optimal or the best performance down there per round and per drill, and make it easier each time and learn something from it. And then economy of motion is flow versus drag. So the two kind of principles and mechanics or biomechanics of swimming is adding flow and reducing drag, like adding propulsion and reducing friction is the two things of swimming. So economy of motion is, it's like all of this is geared towards the pool, but it translates into life, in that, where's your drag, where's your flow, and then how can you eliminate drag to add more flow with, with your physical pattern and your physical pattern of life and movements throughout your day and your week, and to your mental stuff and what you think about and the drag that comes in and all the activities that you do that create drag and whatever else. And then the last one's efficient breathing. So simply, a lot of different clients that I work with have different stress for different reasons. And a big common thing is, our minds run away from us, especially in stressful situations. And so a thing that we kind of keep going back to, more and more is like, look, your mind's not in control. You are in control. You're in the driver's seat, right? But you just need to grab back onto the wheel, right? And let yourself know that this is a non-negotiable and that you are in control. And that as you assume control, one other thing that could support that is you start by controlling your breathing. So an example is, my mind starts to run away from me, I'm in a stressful situation, and then now I'm going to take control of my breathing. I'm going to go 3 seconds in, 3 seconds out through the nose. And as I'm doing it, I'm counting to 3 or whatever it is, so that I know that I'm following whatever it is that I'm saying to do. So now I'm in control again. And then now, once I assume control and I acknowledge that, then okay, cool, my mind is empty. What's next? And
So,
then
your
yeah,
free method, what you just walked through, and I know you work with individuals, you also work with groups of people. So if someone is interested in like working with you and working through the free system, how does that work? Like, how do they find you? How does the work actually look like on a regular, daily, weekly, monthly basis?
yeah. So the way that it looks like, typically is we do one-on-one coaching and we do group workshops. So
Mhm.
we do Free Your Mind workshop, and it's basically a human performance and also a human potential workshop, where you're assessing where you're at when you get there. It's kind of assessing, is the first, a self-assessment and group accountability are two of the first parts. And then after that, it's you know uh opening up your mind and possibility, and looking at what your potential is and how that aligns with your goals and your strategic relationships and your purpose of why you're here.
And can people find more about the workshops on a particular website that you list, or how they
Yes.
find out about them?
Yeah, so they can, if they're interested in workshops, they can email me at prime@utlnation.com.
Okay.
And me or someone from our team will get back to them within 24 hours. But um, full transparency, I think I ran 3 of those workshops last year.
Mhm.
But I love running workshops, and I'm always open to do that. It's just a matter of bandwidth and schedule and stuff. So right now, because right now we're closing out our raise, so everything's occupied with business meetings and stuff like that for the rest of this month. But definitely by mid-February or March, we'll be getting back into workshops. But
Nice.
if anyone's interested in one-on-one coaching, it's Free Your Mind is we used to do specific Free Your Mind workshops, and so they just evolve after each one, and you kind of do something, see something work, and you evolve it. So it's kind of like a Free Your Mind remix workshop. That's a human potential workshop. But the Free Your Mind book that you're holding, the way that we got that was before COVID. We ran a 6-month pilot program with some executives from Sony North America and some other San Diego sports innovator connections that we have here in San Diego. And that was the first program that we had ran. We'd been getting a lot of feedback from different athletes that were training with us that were like, hey man, like this is literally changing every aspect of my life. Like I got new coaches now for fighting, that now I'm winning everything, and like my relationships are working, and all these different things, to where I think that you need to like put this out to more people, or write a book, or do something to where you can get this out, because only people that are experiencing it are the few athletes that we have training with us, and whoever goes to the pool to train. But we're in a vacuum.
It's available on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah. So, I don't know, like really just running around meeting to meeting to meeting. And then the week before COVID hit, the Today Show came out with my partner and I to tell our story, and, tell the story of Deep in Fitness and Underwater Torpedo League and all this stuff. And, our lives were going to change and everything, all that stuff. And then that week COVID hit. So that show never aired, none of that stuff. And so
speaking of the
yeah.
Underwater Torpedo League and Deep End Fitness, could you just talk a little bit about both of those?
Yes. So my partner Don Tran and I started Deep in Fitness and Underwater Torpedo League at the very end of 2017, and basically started as an experiment beta test to see if we get 2 pools in Southern California and get insurance and get maxed out participation and run a competition after 2 months. And so that was Aqua Bowl 1. And that was, we ran that at the beginning of February 2018. And that was for UTL. So UTL, we're going to be in season 12 this year. But if you can imagine, when we started that, it was a new sport that we took from a concept that we used to play in the military called underwater football, where we would wrestle and play 5-on-5 or 3-on-3 or 10-on-10 with some type of an object underwater, like a dive brick or a weight. But when we used a torpedo, it was very fun and dynamic. And you had to have really good, you had to open up your swimming abilities to really like excel in that game. And so there was a lot of like aha moments and stuff. And just kind of the cheat code to it is that you take someone that has never swam before, right? And all of their focus is on them and how they don't swim and how they hate the water. But if you can get their focus, like almost like a magician, and start to get them focused on you, and then you can get them to trust you a little bit, enough to get in the water, and then enough to look at this torpedo that looks like a shiny fish or a bright colored thing, and then now can you just pass this thing with me? And then now you're passing it in the water, and then now can you trust me, right? Watch, I've done this 100 times. I promise you. You just back out a little bit, follow me, pass. Now you're passing it. We're in the middle of the pool. Just relax. Come on. Now we're coming. Now you just swam across the pool. You didn't even realize you were swimming. All it took was for you to focus on something else. We didn't even do a swim lesson.
Yeah, very cool.
Nothing.
Yep.
Yep. So taking your focus and putting on something external. When in doubt, focus out is a good quote. But yeah, and then over the past 5 years, we've had all these amazing, I just left the pool in La Jolla, and I have Fox Sports there. The Padres are there. The Padres PR people are there. All the supervisors at that pool are coming out and like shaking my hand. Like, I'm like, hey, like, so, uh, but over the last 5 years, we've had a lot of like, there's been a lot of breakdowns with COVID and everything closing and all this stuff, and just moving through all that. But there's so many breakthroughs and just learning about, what helps people to break through and unlock results, and what works and what doesn't work, and finding those patterns and learning from each person. And, you know, it's like an algorithm of human performance. And so every little thing that you learn or download or feedback that you get or coaching experience that you get, you get to, that's just another little puzzle piece that comes in, and then you're like, wow. And then, you can remember, like, it's crazy how it is, but you'll be working with one person and then you'll be like, I know exactly what's happening right now. Like, you know, we're we're trying to get something, but we're not even laser focused on the bullseye of what we're trying to accomplish here. That's why we're all over the target, because we don't have a defined thing that we're going for, and it's like, I remember that because I've literally seen that, when someone couldn't go touch the bottom of the pool, but when I gave them something specific to touch, they could touch it, you know. But so anyway,
what I love is water is almost an analogy to life, and the fact that you've been playing in water your whole life, but it's really a tool for you to help people recognize their true potential. And I love to hear you say earlier, it's like what they're able to accomplish in the water translates into their marriages and their workspace and their family life and other areas of their life too, which I think is pretty awesome. I'll make sure to
yes.
include links to Underwater Torpedo League and Deep End Fitness. And I know there's been some pretty good articles about you on those as well. I'd love for you in the last couple of minutes together is talk about a book that's, I don't know when it's coming out, but hopefully it's coming out pretty soon. Your second book.
Yes. Yes. So I've been working on that project for over a year now with my author friend, Bethany Marshall. And so the book is about reframing obstacles into opportunities, and turning trauma into something powerful that you can, utilize to meet your potential and help others. And that's kind of like the basic of it. And then, it's just the come from for it is that I've had depression, and I've had even suicidal ideations since I've gotten out, and have worked through that, and have had a lot of healing around that and stuff. And it's not like you get healing and then all of a sudden the rest of your life is perfect. It's an everyday process and maintenance thing. But that I've noticed that everybody has something that they're carrying from. Is it from childhood, or is it from their adulthood, or is it from something that happened that they have in their hidden in the closet? I never talked about the peeping Tom stuff until after I got out of the military. I held that inside my whole life, since childhood. So like this book is all about, breaking through from how that put me in a victim mindset and a victim mode, because I thought, why me? My kids don't have that life. My kids are taken care of. Why did nobody look after me? Why didn't I have people that cared about me? Why did everybody else parents seem like they patted on the ass and gave them their lunch to go to school? Why did I have this type of shit? And then breaking through to be like, no. Like that was actually that guy was my coach that was in the window. That guy gave me the craziest training, and all that, I'm actually grateful for that now, because I don't know that I would have survived some of the other things that happened in my life had I not been through that experience.
Is there a date that the book is going to be released?
So our goal is Veterans Day this year. Yeah.
Okay. Love to have you back on.
Yeah.
When the book is out, if you're interested in talk more about the book.
Yeah, 100%. Thanks, okay. Mike. And The pre-launch will be within the next 30 days.
Oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
good. Keep me in the loop
Yeah.
if you don't mind.
I will.
Yeah,
100%.
cool. Well, hey, Prime, it's great to see you. I want to encourage folks to check out Free Your Mind Guidebook on Amazon. I'll include links in the show notes. Check out Underwater Torpedo League and Deep End Fitness. Prime, great to catch up with you. It's been a while, and hopefully we'll be able to hang out in the ocean here in a couple months.
Looking forward to it, brother. Thank
All right,
you.
buddy. Good to see you, Prime.
All right. All right.
Ciao.
Cheers. Have a good week.
You too. Thanks.
There's nothing in between you and me. Nothing in between blue and sea. Nothing in between us and love. Nothing in between wings and doves. Nowhere to hide in the open reality. Love is so